scientists who work to study and conserve our incredible wildlife. While his films are not exclusive to birds, any naturalist, you'll find something to spark your passion in learning about all the different films he's done and what he's planning. So we're very excited to have Zak join us. And again, if you have questions, you can type them in the chat and we'll go over them at the end. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction, Kathy. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone here to listen to me yap on for a little bit. I'm really excited to talk with you and share something a little different. Like Kathy said, this presentation isn't going to be exclusively about birds, but birds are something that are really important to my life. So you will see how they're kind of seated all throughout the presentation. And this is specifically how I go about connecting with scientists in a world of influencers. So who am I? I'm Zak Cole, like Kathy said, marine biologist and wildlife filmmaker. I was born here in Orlando, actually at Arnold Palmer Hospital, and I keep finding my way back here. I've moved away twice and find my way back to Central Florida in less than a year. And so the last time that I moved back, I was like, okay, I think I'm meant to be here. And over the course of my career, I went to school initially to study sharks in my marine biology degree. I also did a lot of work offshore with dolphins, sea turtles, manta rays, and large whale species. So working professionally, that's what I did. But all throughout my college and post-college career, I also did a lot of work on my other passion, which is wildlife filmmaking. I was really inspired as a kid by the likes of Jacques Cousteau, Steve Irwin, Jeff Corwin, Jane Goodall as well for her work with primates. These were all people that had a huge influence on my life. And I really wanted to have the opportunity to share my passion with the world. And in the 2010s, I realized because of YouTube, I don't have to rely on a production company. I don't have to rely on anyone but myself to be able to go out and make the films that I want and tell the stories that I want. So initially, whenever I first started doing videos, they were just exclusively about marine life. There's a problem with filming marine life. It is prohibitively expensive. Underwater video, traveling to film stuff, getting into places where you can legally film certain things that I wanted to film. Very, very difficult. And so around the pandemic, I started changing the structure of my channel to focus more specifically on Florida wildlife. Even though I'm a marine biologist, I am also a biologist. So I have a huge appreciation for life in all of its forms. And I wanted to kind of walk you guys through the story of where I was and where I've gotten and how I got here. So I'll start this with just telling you guys what I've learned initially, and that is everybody knows somebody. This is like probably the biggest lesson you can take away from this talk, from this bird chat, is that everybody knows somebody. As birders, we're so used to talking to other birders about finding something interesting that they've seen, but also talking to people who maybe aren't birders and maybe they've seen something cool. Maybe they're telling you about a cardinal and they start describing its field markings, and you're like, wait a second, that sounds a whole lot like a vermilion flycatcher. So everybody knows somebody, and be willing to put yourself out there and talk to people and to ask for introductions. If you happen to meet somebody that knows somebody you really want to talk to, ask that person, that friend, that family member, that acquaintance, or sometimes even a total stranger that you know has a mutual connection or a connection that you want. Ask them for an introduction. And when you get to meet that person that you're introduced to, when you actually get to sit down and have a conversation with them, just let them talk. Let them talk. This is a lesson that I really had to learn as an adult, is to shut up sometimes and let other people talk. And of course, I'm the one doing the talking here in this bird chat as well. But whenever you're talking to somebody, let them talk and you will see their passions come through. And that'll be another through line of this presentation, our passion, people's passion. So a little bit about my channel. This is Wild FL. It's just named after myself, but I also do Wild FL. That's kind of my branding and everything. And whenever I first started focusing on Florida wildlife, I was doing videos about any animal I could get close to that I knew a lot about. So you could see I was doing some shark diving. I was out catching invasive chameleons. The picture on the left here, you can't quite see them, but there's a bunch of Reese's macaques that are along this log, and that's what I was filming. I thought that was really cool. I was like, hey, we have wild monkeys in Florida. Nobody does anything with them. I want to film them and get to show people. But I also did videos about birds. These were kind of my first two like dedicated bird videos. I did one on the Florida scrub jays over on the Space Coast over in Rockledge, Florida, the scrub jay population over there. I got to film them and got a lot of really cool footage of them like landing on my head, landing on my hand, and just having a cool relationship with them. And then I also did a flamingo video about Pinky the flamingo that was up in the St. Mark's Wildlife Refuge. Some of you might have gotten a chance to see Pinky when he was still there, and he might still be there. But the reason that these two videos are really special, and not just because they're birds and because I'm giving a bird chat, there was something really different that I did with these. First, with my Scrub Jay video, I really made it more of a documentary style film. I really thought that these incredible birds and they were just so cooperative with me filming them, just setting my camera down and letting them come and meander in front of the camera and check it out. It really became a full-blown nature documentary with them. And then with the flamingo video, it was about me going out to find the flamingo, going on this adventure to find this flamingo, and kind of bringing my audience, my viewers, along for that ride. And something really cool happened with the flamingo video. It hit 1,000 views in its first 24 hours, which my channel was much, much smaller at the time. That was really cool to see that kind of explosive growth. And now 5 years later, 4 years later, it's gotten 500 more views. So I had a really, really, really big uptick in views, and then it's kind of leveled out. But there was something really interesting with the flamingo video that I noticed. This was a dot that I connected. And that is, this video is 14 minutes long. 3 minutes into it, I find the flamingo. And at that point, I can see on YouTube where people stop watching. They stopped watching after I found the flamingo. And I thought, what the heck? Like they're here for the flamingo. This was the whole plot of the video, was to go find this flamingo. And I realized that, yeah, people were watching the adventure, the story. They didn't care so much about the information of the flamingo. They wanted to just see if I found it and how I found it. And I realized at that moment that people were watching for the story. They wanted the story. And that's when I started to realize what makes my videos, what I can make my videos is, instead of just talking about an animal, I can tell a story about that animal. Or in this next case, I could tell the story about the people who work with this animal. So right around this time, I got in contact with two different scientists. The first one is Jessica Pate here. She is over in Palm Beach, and she was posting these videos and photos on Instagram of manta rays. For those of you that are unaware about manta rays, these are one of the largest fish in the sea. It was thought that manta rays only visited Florida. They're only snowbirds here. That was kind of the thought. But Jessica was seeing them really, really consistently and thought maybe they're staying here a little bit longer than what people realize. And so she started an organization called the Florida Manta Project to actually study and see these manta rays. And I basically begged her to let me do a video about her and her work with the manta rays. She had something that not only was kind of exclusive access to this really cool animal, but she also had such a cool story behind her work about learning about the manta rays and like documenting this population. So I got to go out with her. I got to see and swim with a manta ray and tell Jessica's amazing story. And while I was at it, she gave me 3 terabytes of cinema quality drone footage of the manta rays and various other marine life that she had filmed. And the video that I ended up putting together was really, really incredible, really cool. Um, there was also another scientist that I met right around the same time. This is Missy Williams down in Fort Lauderdale. And she was researching an introduced population of vervet monkeys. These are right around the Fort Lauderdale International Airport. And these monkeys were introduced almost 90 years ago, and they're confined to this mangrove. They can't get out of the mangrove because there's a bunch of really large, busy roads near them. And this population is continuing to exist. And so she was studying it. And so both of these scientists had really unique stories and they had really unique wildlife that they were working with. And me thinking, okay, I need to put together a story. I put together two videos with a video with each of them, kind of talking about it. And these videos did really well. I had success, and now I had kind of a prototype of what I would do going forth. So I realized I have this story method that I'm focusing a lot more on the scientist, and I want to tell their story. So I started seeking out other stories to tell, and being a marine biologist, the first thing I did was talk to other marine biologists. So I have three different uh, marine biologists here that are in my network. I have Tanya Wiley up here in the top left. What she is holding is a baby small tooth sawfish. Which is one of the most critically endangered fish species in the world. And Florida happens to be like pretty much the only place that they are found, other than a few spots in the Bahamas. Over here on the right is Jane Gardner. She works over in Tampa Bay, and she researches shark feeding behaviors. And then down here in the bottom is Dr. Stephen Kajura. If you ever watch Shark Week, there's a really good chance that you see Steve on there. He's pretty much a regular on there every single year, and he studies black tip sharks and their migration. And I talked to all of these scientists, and they were all really enthusiastic to potentially work with me, but they did voice a hesitation that they had because they'd all had experiences with bad media representation. That is to say, that they had all had experiences where they had appeared on television programs, in documentaries, or in some cases, even social media with influencers, and they had been misrepresented, or parts of their studies had been taken out of context, or even worse, they realized that some of these influencers were only using them to get access to their wildlife and not giving anything back to them. So they all voiced this kind of hesitation. And I introduced myself as a marine biologist and wildlife filmmaker because I put the science first. I'm a scientist before I'm a storyteller. And so I talked with all of them that I wanted to accurately represent their stories and really make this something that they're proud of, and that is going to be representative of their body of study, of their work with wildlife, and also them as a person. And so I've done a few projects with all of them, but the one that I really want to point out to you is the video that I did with Steve. We did a documentary on the black tip shark migration, and this video was really cool. Steve had a ton of drone footage of these black tip sharks migrating up and down Florida's coast. So you have this bird's eye view of just literally thousands of sharks swimming in crystal clear water. And so I told that story. I focused on talking about the migration, the issues that Steve's faced. He really wanted to make sure that his students at Florida Atlantic University, where he's a professor, he wanted to make sure that his students were shown that their efforts for volunteering and working towards their own studies were showcased. And so I made sure to include that in the video. And I put together something that I'm really, really proud of. And I posted this the week before Shark Week. I knew people would be looking up videos about sharks to get hyped up for Shark Week. And this video hit 5,000 views in 24 hours, which is just unbelievable how insanely quickly this video popped off. And I'm very, very proud of this one. And it was really cool. And now I kind of had my formula down of working with a scientist, telling their story, and really showcasing their work and putting the science in front while also making sure that it is explained in a way that a layperson can understand, because a lot of people are interested in the sciences, but they don't necessarily understand all of the scientific jargon that gets tossed back and forth. They don't understand all of the terms. So if you break that down into a story that they can understand, it's a lot more digestible to them. So my next challenge was working with another scientist, in this case, somebody at SeaWorld Orlando. This is Justin Zimmerman. He runs their coral rescue program. For those of you that don't know anything about coral and are wondering how they're doing a rescue program on an animal that is basically a living rock, the way that they do it is they are tracking these different diseases that affect corals and trying to move ahead of the disease line to rescue populations of coral that are endangered. I know I'm a marine biologist, but I have a confession for you guys. Uh, I think coral are really boring. I like sharks. I like dolphins. I like sea turtles. I like stuff that moves around. Uh, Coral don't really do that. They sit there and they look pretty. And whenever I go scuba diving, I say, "Oh, cool! There's the coral. Let's go find something else." Uh, but one thing with talking with Justin that was really amazing to me was this man's passion. Uh, I have never seen somebody so absolutely crazy in the best way possible for coral. And as somebody who's in the marine sciences, that was very jarring for me. I was like, how can you care this much about coral? But his passion is something I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a few minutes. But really seeing his passion was something absolutely incredible. Getting to talk with him about it on camera was incredible. I also had some other cool scientists that I worked with, and this kind of goes back to the whole everybody knows somebody. This scientist right here holding this indigo snake, this is Matt Metcalf, and I met him kind of on accident, or through a very big coincidence. Uh, there was somebody on Instagram that posted a picture on their Instagram story of a diamondback rattlesnake. Instagram stories, for those of you that don't know, are pictures that are only available to be seen for 24 hours. And then after that, they get removed and deleted. Um, so I happened to see this other naturalist that I'm friends with. She posted a picture of a diamondback rattlesnake and commented about a group called the Southwest Florida Rattlesnake Project. Very long name. And I messaged her because everybody knows somebody. And I said, "Hey, what is this?" She goes, "Oh, that's my friend Matt's project. Actually, you should totally talk to him about his research." So I reached out to Matt, and that night we ended up having a nice long conversation about his work with diamondback rattlesnakes, which, for those of you that don't know, are the largest and most venomous snake in not just Florida, but arguably the United States. Some people would say coral snakes are more dangerous, but in terms of their venom yield and the deadliness, diamondbacks are probably number one. I ended up working with Matt, and I got to handle a diamondback like you see in the thumbnail for the very first time. And this kind of awakened something in me. I metaphorically say that I was bitten by rattlesnakes, and I ended up going and getting my venomous snake handling license. I really, really loved this opportunity, and I really fell in love with snakes, which are just so often maligned. I know as birders, we always get excited to see, we see snakes occasionally when they're being picked up by a bird. So this was a really cool opportunity to work with this really important species. And when I started to wrap up that project with Matt, I said, "Matt, are you happy with this? Do you feel represented in everything that we've done?" And he was really happy with it. And I said, "Do you know anybody else that you would like to highlight their work, or somebody that would be interested in talking about their work in a similar way?" And he said, "Yes, I have two scientists I'm going to refer to you. One of them is a turtle scientist that the video that I did with him is still in production. But there was another scientist right here in Central Florida at UCF. Her name was Jenna Palmisano, and she was doing a study on pygmy rattlesnakes, which are the smallest venomous snake in Florida. And she was also researching this really unique parasite that affects pygmy rattlesnakes. And I did a video with Jenna last year, and the video was awesome. I got to handle a pygmy rattlesnake. I got really up close to them. I got to show off her work, the importance of her project, which is really cool with what she's doing, tracking the movement of this parasite through Florida's snake populations. And the video itself did really, really, really well, much better than the last snake video. And at the end of that project, I did the same thing. Jenna, do you know anybody else that would be cool to cover that you think I should go talk to about doing this? And she said, yes, you should go talk to Dr. James Bogan of the Orlandoan Society and cover his work with indigo snakes. And as I understand it, you guys in the bird in the Audubon Society of Orange County are familiar with Dr. James Bogan. He did a talk about his work with the Orlandoan Society. But I did some work covering his research, touring the facility, talking with him, and really just picking his brain and getting to show his passion and his incredible work with the Eastern indigo snake. This was really cool. And once again, asked him, I said, do you know anybody else that would benefit from this? And he introduced me to a bunch of vets at the Central Florida Zoo and several people at the Nature Conservancy. And I realized that the more and more I leaned into the science and the story, I saw the views on YouTube continue to climb higher and higher. And that was so reassuring to me that I was doing something right, that I was not only doing something right by my own ethics, but doing something right by these people who are so passionate and want to share with what they have for the world. So what can you, as a listener to this, what can you take away from this? I would say realize that people care about science and are willing to hear it. Scientists have stories to tell people, and people want to hear it. They just need a storyteller. For some people, that's me with my camera and my microphone. There are non-birders in your life right now that want to know the stories of birds. They care about it, even if they don't fully understand it. And they just need that storyteller, that person who can share that bird story with them. And that can be you. You know the story. You just have to tell it and don't be afraid to bring it up more. People care about birding. They just don't know about it yet. And you'll know that you're making inroads with someone in your sphere of influence or just an acquaintance. You'll know that you're making an inroad and an impact on their life when they start sending you bird photos and bad drawings and sound recordings of an eastern gray squirrel. And they say, what bird is this? That's how you know that you're making progress and that you're connecting with people who haven't experienced wildlife in the same way that we as naturalists have. That's kind of how you indoctrinate them into this. And I also just want to highlight passion is so awesome. People love seeing someone be passionate. I talked about Justin Zimmerman from SeaWorld, the coral guy. You would never expect that a guy like him grew up in the mountains of Pennsylvania. And as a kid, he thought coral was cool. And he's made an entire career and now runs a huge program at one of the largest aquarium and zoological parks in the world, literally just taking care of coral. And I would also say, pull those threads. Ask who knows people. The world of science and of naturalism is so small. You just never know who knows someone. I met a rattlesnake guy because of a post on Instagram, and that all led me all the way to talking to folks at the Nature Conservancy, literally because of a 24-hour Instagram post. Even me being in this chat right now is the result of me reaching out and pulling threads that I'm passionate about. In this case, I saw some birds on eBird that I wanted to add to my life list, and Kathy kept tagging them on eBird as Audubon surveys. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see if I can join one of those and start adding lifers. And after I started showing up and started learning how the Audubon Society works and talking with Kathy, then Kathy invited me out here for a bird chat. So what's next for me? I get this question all the time. What's next for me? I recently did a project that's wrapped filming with the Oakland Nature Preserve. I did a video, literally just like a 60-second video with their possum, Pepper, who you see here with me. And I posted it on TikTok, and that video got over 1 million views. Million views in like less than a month. It was crazy just how quickly all of that added up. And this video did so well that one of the people that saw it actually reached out to the Oakland Nature Preserve and said, "Hey, I'm an artist. I made artwork about Pepper the possum. You can see the artwork right there. She made these stickers based off of this TikTok that I posted. And then I did a longer video about Pepper the possum, just answering questions from literally the millions of people that saw this video, answering their questions. I did another video with them about prescribed burns and another one about their fireflies. If you have not gone to Oakland Nature Preserve for one of their firefly nights in the spring, you should absolutely do it. It is incredible how many fireflies there are, and you don't really think of them as showing up in Florida. Speaking of pulling threads, because of my work at the Oakland Nature Preserve, a few weeks ago, I was volunteering for Nature Fest there, and I happened to meet the folks from the Avian Rehabilitation Center over in Apopka, and ended up having a conversation with one of their directors, Nicole. And I actually spent 2 hours there yesterday scoping out their facility for several videos that I want to do telling their story of this amazing rehabilitation center that we have in our own backyard. Another cool project that I'm really excited for. One of my friends is the environmental journalist for the Tampa Bay Times. He did this really amazing project covering these dolphins that are working with bow fishermen in Crystal River to hunt together. The dolphins are actually cooperating with humans to hunt. And so I had a call last week with the scientists that are working on that. I have another call with them tomorrow talking about their work with dolphins, and I'm really excited for that. And that's kind of what the future holds for me, is just pulling those threads, making those connections, asking who knows someone. So I'll open it up for questions, but I also want to ask you guys, if you know somebody that you think does some really interesting wildlife work or wildlife science, give them my contact information, or give me their contact information, because I'd love to talk to them. And with that, if anybody has any questions, feel free to let me know.
That was great, Zach.
Thanks. Thanks. A little shorter than what you guys normally have, but I figured I would, go on and share with everyone.
That's okay. Well, while we're waiting for people to come up with some questions, um, I have a couple. So share with us, how did you get into birding?
Oh, that's a good question. I had kind of a slow introduction to birding. When I was in college, I had a professor named Dr. Natasha Vanderhoff at Jacksonville University. Some of you might actually know her. She's an ornithologist, and I was taking 3 classes with her that semester. And different biology classes. And in each class, she told everyone that if you went birding with her at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, she would add 1 point to your final grade, which is huge because there are 14 weeks in a semester, 14 Saturdays. And me taking 3 different classes with her that semester, I asked her, I said, how, if I go birding with you, can I get a point to each class? And she said, yes, but you have to go all 14 days. I was in my sophomore year of college. I had just joined a fraternity, like literally the semester before I had joined a fraternity. And now I am giving up all of my Saturday mornings uh, to go look at birds. And I learned a lot. I wouldn't say I was super enthusiastic about it, but I did start to have more of a love for them. I also worked at SeaWorld for 2 years, and 1 year of that was just working with the penguins. And so I had kind of a love for the penguins. And so I did not a dedicated birding trip, but right after college, I went to New Zealand and Australia. And a big goal of mine was to see wild penguins. And so you can see my picture here. This is a snares crested penguin. That was just chilling on a rock, and I walked up to him and plopped down and took a picture with him. Got to see yellow-eyed penguins, little blue penguins. That was such an awesome experience. I also have a slide here. I also went looking for a cassowary in Australia, so I found a wild cassowary. I am standing probably 6 feet away from this cassowary with no barrier in between me and this bird. Um, in hindsight, that probably wasn't the best or safest idea. But this was kind of like my first birding trip. And then what really got me into it, kind of like what finally what's the birding term? Your spark bird or your ignition bird.
Mhm.
I was working offshore in 2019, and I took a photo of something. This is a young brown booby that I took out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. And I kind of became obsessed, like many guys, with boobies. I was very excited to photograph a booby, and I did my very first dedicated birding trip to go see more boobies. I went to an island in Mexico to go photograph blue-footed boobies, red-footed boobies, brown boobies, cocos boobies as well. So that was a really, really cool experience to have my first dedicated birding trip like that.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
cool. JT wanted to know if you could play one of your videos. I don't know if that's you're set up for that, but
I what I'll do is I will drop a link in the chat. Give me just a second. I will drop a link in the chat of let me give you, these are kind of what I consider my best videos. And I will give you a link to here. And I will let you go explore my channel and pick out what you think is going to be your favorite. There's stuff on birds. My videos that are with scientists, I kind of call them the stories of Florida. But I have other videos. Earlier this year, I went out to go see the whooping crane that was in St. Cloud. I was really excited just to do a really quick, like 1 minute video. Hey, here's this cool bird I found. I also made it my mission to find ruddy ducks. I had never gotten a ruddy duck before, so I went out and found a population of them. The video is terrible. It's only like 2 minutes long, and I'm just yammering on about ruddy ducks, but I thought it was cool. I was excited to see them.
they are cool. Eric wants to know what equipment are you using for wildlife video?
Oh, that's a great question. So I use a wide variety of stuff depending on what I'm filming. The microphone that you see here, the big fuzzy thing, this is my main microphone that I use for most of my work. Although Kathy has seen one of my newest pieces of equipment, I designed a parabolic dome to listen to birds at distance. I'm still kind of working out the kinks on it, but I designed it and 3D printed it myself, and I actually published that recently. So I'm excited to do more stuff with that. In terms of video cameras, I mostly use 3 different cameras. One of them is a Canon XF400, which is basically a camcorder with a really, really, really good zoom lens on it. It also is capable of infrared video, which is cool. So I can film stuff at night. Actually, on Sunday, I got my lifer barn owl because of the infrared on my camera. I very quickly got to video of a barn owl flying away from me in the dark. So I use that. That's kind of my main camera. Let me actually go back through my presentation because you can see it. There we go. That's my camera right there. And then this is my microphone that's right here in front of me. And then I also use a GoPro a lot anytime I'm filming stuff underwater. And also just like really quick footage, I use a GoPro. It's a really awesome camera. And then my last camera that I use is actually a drone. I use a DJI Mini 3 Pro. And that is awesome. Obviously, not great for bird work, but getting landscape shots, getting a few other, a lot of the marine animals are filmed on drones because they don't mind the noise from a drone. It's not distracting to them, and you get a much better way of seeing them since there's no landscape to pick them out from whenever they're in the water. So that's kind of my main equipment that I use. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Thank you.
And
Oh, go ahead,
can I
Deborah.
just follow that with, and you made your own parabolic thing?
Yeah, I can actually grab it. Give me just a second. It is right here. I don't know if it'll pop up in the, there we go. You can kind of see it right here. So I designed this to be able to be printed on my 3D printer. You'll notice that it is not transparent. I realized that most of the parabolic domes that are for sale online are really, really expensive, and they're made from a polyacrylic transparent plastic. That stuff is super expensive, and I didn't want to spend $1,000 on a parabolic dome. So I was like, man, I have my 3D printer. I bet I could figure this out. And so I designed this myself. And I designed it to work with my existing camera gear. So technologically wise, I didn't have to buy anything new. One of my little microphones that I already have just plugs into here, and then it connects to my phone, and I can connect it to Merlin. And so I'm trying to get better at birding by ear. And so this is kind of my way to cheat that and learn how to ID stuff. And Kathy was actually with me one day. I got my lifer yellow-billed cuckoo because we could hear it with this through the trees. So that was really cool. So that's my parabolic dome.
Very cool.
So any past birding trips or present ones that you'd like to share about?
Yeah, so I did a cool trip. I talked about the trip that I went down to Mexico to go see blue-footed boobies. That was a really cool trip. Most people think you have to go to the Galapagos to see blue-footed boobies, but I actually worked with some folks from Mexico in my offshore job, and they were showing me pictures, and they said, "Oh no, this is off the coast of Nayarit." So me and some friends went on a trip out there to this little island called Isla Isabel. Its nickname is the Galapagos of Mexico. And we went out there to go see blue-footed boobies, and about 10,000 frigate birds were circling the island day in. It looked like a giant tornado of pterodactyls. And there was a lot of other cool stuff out there: burrowing owls, boat-billed herons. Yeah, lots of cool marine life. We saw humpback whales as we were heading out to the island. And that trip was also super cheap. Trips in Mexico are like dirt cheap. So if you're looking for a cool way to add blue-footed boobies to your life list, go to Mexico to go see them. In terms of like other trips, I did a trip to Costa Rica specifically to go see a quetzal. I wanted to see a resplendent quetzal, and so I got to see that. So that was awesome. I added like 100 birds to my life list with that one trip, which is awesome. I hired a guide in Monteverde to go see stuff, and I also went in the off season, so it was also really cheap to do. If you're thinking about pulling the trigger on a trip to Costa Rica, you should absolutely do it. It is amazing. If you drive like I did, have mercy on you. Driving is very hectic there.
Yeah. I think I've been there. It was.
And
I was glad I was in
not
the
quite
back
as
seat.
bad. Not quite as bad as I-4 on its worst days, but
Right.
close to it.
Yeah, it's a little different. So, what's your rarest bird on your life list?
So that would be obviously rarity is like relative to where you see it. Let me see if I've got the photo. I think I added it in here. There we go. This is it. This is a South Polar skua that I photographed off the coast of, this is Martha's Vineyard right here. This is Cape Cod. And we were out here working on the wind farm projects. And I was looking for Jaegers. I really wanted to see a Jaeger. I still haven't seen a Jaeger yet. But I noticed that there was this gull that was way bigger than anything else. And I knew that was the telltale sign of a Jaeger. And I photographed it and I went to go ID it on Merlin. And it said it's a skua. And I was like, that's an Antarctic bird. There's no way. And I sent this photo to my friend, Robert Gundy, who used to have the state birding record in 2020. He's since been dethroned, but he identified it. He was like, yeah, dude, that's a South Polar skua. Like that's super, super rare. So I got to see a South Polar skua and in the Northern Hemisphere, which is pretty cool. I've also seen yellow-eyed penguins, which are pretty rare, just population-wise, but they're there if you know where to go. A few different albatross species, which is really cool. Shy albatross, southern royal albatross, and black-footed albatross. But those are all like you just have to be in the right space for them. But this skua is probably the rarest bird I've ever seen.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, we've had Robert on our bird chat.
I think I actually saw that bird chat when him and his partner Natasha were on here.
Yeah, that's on our YouTube. Yeah. That was a lot of fun when they did their big year. So
yep. I actually met them during their big year. That was how I got introduced to them. I was heading into Everglades National Park, and there was a group of myna in front of me. And I was just looking at them. I was eating some lunch before I headed into the Everglades. And this guy comes out of his car with his camera and he starts snapping pictures of them. And I was like, oh, these are crested myna and everything. He's like, oh, I know what they are. And we just start chit-chatting. And he introduces himself. And I was a rookie birder and I was like, oh, I'm doing a big year. I'm at 130 species. And he's like, oh, that's cool. This is in December of 2020. So this is like towards the end of their big year. So he was at like 370. And so I was like, oh, wow. And so we got to talking and we're buddies now.
Very nice.
Cool. Nice.
Does anyone else have any questions for Zak? It's a really nice presentation.
Is there anything you would like, a goal project you would like to do?
Oh, I have a few animals. I refer to them as my white whales of Florida. And they're just like really, really endangered species, really rare species. One of them is the North Atlantic right whale, which there are less than 300 of them left in the wild. There's also on the Gulf side of Florida, there is a unique population of whales called Rice's whales. They're their own independent species. There's about 100 of them. They're just a unique species that's in the Gulf. The Florida panther is another one I really want to work with. And the Florida bonneted bat. So not quite a bird, but almost there in the sky. Florida bonneted bats are endemic to Florida. There are other bird species I really want to cover, like the Florida grasshopper sparrow. And I think it would be really cool to do videos on some of our more unique extinct birds, because there are really good taxidermied specimens of like Carolina parakeets, going down to like Kissimmee Plains Prairie, where the last one was, covering that. The dusky seaside sparrow and the ivory-billed woodpecker. Those are all things I really want to cover in the future.
Cool.
At North Shore Birding Festival, we have speakers on the grasshopper sparrow, Florida grasshopper sparrow project, Alex and Mary Marine. Do you know them? No. You could interview them and their work.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. If you can forward me their contact info, maybe we could get a group call together. That would be a lot of fun.
Right.
So,
Very good.
also, one other video I want to do is kind of the history of the Florida scrub jay and talking about how all of the work that went into trying to keep them from being the state bird. I feel like doing that story justice would be cool. So that would be fun. I really love the scrub jay. I have a pen of them on my hat that I wear everywhere. So it should absolutely be our state bird.
Yep. And Eric agrees.
All right.
I'm
Well,
ready.
thank you all
So
so
very
much. I
cool.
really appreciate it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to everyone here.
Sure. And
Yeah,
everyone
thank
check
you.
out his YouTube channel.
Yeah,
It's really, really good.
looks like it'll be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care.
Guys, next week, same time.
Yep.